Torah tells us about some of the complaints that the Jewish people had against Moshe and against what Hashem had done when they were in the Midbar. The Torah tells us, the rabble-rousers amongst them, they had a desire. And they seem to have inspired everybody else to complain as well. They said, who is going to give us meat? We remember the fish that we used to have for free in Mitzrayim. And the cucumbers and the melons and the onions and the garlic, all those amazing things that we had in Mitzrayim. And now we have nothing. And they complained about the man. And Moshe got very, very upset about the situation. And the complaint seems very strange. Many of the Parshas are already bothered. What do you mean, miachilenu basar? They had plenty of cattle with them. And this is what they want to remember. This is what they're concerned about, that they had garlic and onions. They're in the wilderness. They're living on mun. They have everything that they could possibly want. It could taste like anything desired. Why are they crying for onions and garlic? It sounds ridiculous. And Rashi quotes from Chazal that had nothing to do with onions at all. What the people were actually complaining about was the new restrictions related to arayos, the forbidden relationships that exist. And that's what they were really crying about. The question is, how did Chazal know that? How did Chazal know to see in these psukim that the complaint had nothing to do with onions or garlic? It wasn't about the meat, it was about something different. Yaakov Kamenetsky in his Emes Yaakov explains that just like the Torah has multiple levels of understanding it, there's pshat, there's remez, there's drash, there's sod, the same thing is true when it comes to people. People need to be understood, and their words need to be taken in a variety of different levels. People speak in layers, and sometimes what we say is just the pshat, it's the surface, and there's something which is much deeper. And it's a reflection of something that's bothering us, of something that we've been through, of something else that's going on in our lives, and sometimes we don't even realize what it is that's bothering us. When the people said we're going to miss the cucumbers and the onions, cucumbers were not the issue. What they were really struggling with was the spiritual freedom that they no longer had, the responsibility, the discipline that was going to be demanded by a life of Torah. How do they know that? Because it makes no sense. Who would be complaining about the onions and the garlics? They understood, Chazal understood, there was something more going on there. And perhaps you see it also in the response, because Hashem doesn't really respond to Moshe. The next parsha tells us, the next topic, Vayomer Hashem la Moshe, Hashem says to Moshe, Esfal li shivim ish mizdiknei Yisrael, gather 70 zikanim, that they are leaders, and bring them. And then I'm going to shower and bring my shechina onto you, and it's going to overflow onto them. And then tell the people, and I'm say, okay, now you're going to get your meat, the one that you were complaining about, and I'm going to give you a tremendous amount. Why is this Sanhedrin, or whatever this is, the 70 people, why is that the initial prompt before the addressing the question of the meat? Rav Hirsch explains that really what the answer was is that the purpose of the Sanhedrin, purpose of the Zin, was to teach them Torah. Because that's really what this was about. So you have to answer their question, because they're not going to appreciate that this was what it was. But fundamentally, what the issue was that they needed to connect to Torah. They might not have realized that that is what was bothering them. But from the fact that such a complaint exists, Hashem understood, and Hashem revealed to Moshe the first thing we need to do is to connect them spiritually. See, sometimes we cry about the onions, but it's really something else entirely. And it's the same thing in our lives. There are times when we complain about something, but we have to sometimes take a step back and to realize and to think, what is really bothering us? Why is it that whatever's going on right now is getting under my skin? And sometimes we'll say, oh, it's the principle. Usually when we say that it's the principle, it has nothing to do with the principle. And we just need to be honest with ourselves. What is it? What am I afraid of? What's bothering me? Why is it this is bothering me so much? And that is really what life is about, not just to live on the level of pshat, but to try within ourselves to find the remez and the sod and the secrets of what it is that's driving us, so that hopefully we can take whatever moments that we have of difficulty, of complaints, or maybe even of frustration, and turn them into moments of great spiritual growth.